Hey guys, this is Neil once again from the Overclocker magazine. So today I have for you yet another Z690 motherboard, and this time is from ASRock. So this is the ASRock Z690 Phantom Gaming ITX Thunderbolt 4. And this motherboard I think retails for about $379. Locally there isn't a price because it doesn't seem like we'll be getting this motherboard. Hopefully that's not the case and we eventually do get it. But when we do get it, expect a price around $6,000 or so. In fact, maybe a little bit higher than that. It might seem expensive, but if you consider that the other motherboard that this one competes with, which is the Strixboard, that one costs even more because the last time I checked it, it was over $400. In fact, it was about $90 more expensive than this motherboard. So anyway, what do you get for your $379? So you get a motherboard that offers you Thunderbolt 4, USB 4.0, you get 2.5G LAN, Wi-Fi 6E, you basically get the typical stuff that you get on high-end motherboards, except that this is a mini ITX one. Well, given that it has Thunderbolt 4, it also means that it supports USB 4.0, which is pretty cool. However, on the rear I/O, you should be able to see that you get at least 4 10 gigabit per second ports. You get one 5 gigabit per second port, and then obviously you get the Thunderbolt 4 or 40 gigabits per second USB 4.0 port that I spoke about. With that, you also get for your outputs, you get DisplayPort and HDMI. I actually do appreciate having both of these options. I know motherboards from Gigabyte that only give you DisplayPort, which kind of sucks. If you're going to have anything, at least just have HDMI, right? So that you get both of them is pretty awesome. And you can use both of them simultaneously as well, right? And with that, what you do get is Wi-Fi 6E, 2.5G LAN, right? According to, I think it's the E3100 controller. And for the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth is the AX1675 from Intel as well. So those are the general stuff that you could actually read for yourself in the spec sheet. But the cool thing about this motherboard is actually the Uefi, which, as you know, I've always had a liking, or rather I've had a, I'm fond of the Uefi as far as ASRock implements it, and this is no different here. It's buttery smooth, high res, well laid out. I mean, it's really easy to navigate. The only thing that I lament on the Uefi is that there are no DDR5 BIOS profiles, and given that we are so early in DDR5's life cycle, these would have been appreciated. And I'm talking about a profile for maybe Micron at 5200, Samsung 5600, and maybe a Hynix at 6000. Just anything to help a would-be overclocker get started, because as it is right now, you're just basically on your own. So I didn't get to test one of the things that I've always loved about these mini ITX boards from ASRock, and that's memory overclocking. The reason I didn't get to test that is because the kit I have only goes up to 5200, and really it's going to be the same on every single motherboard. It's not going to do any better. 5400 is valid. In fact, you can run 5400 overclocked, but anything higher than that is really not going to go anywhere. But with that said as well, I have to let you know, as I don't know, I guess it's the standard power delivery here is 11 phases, and I think each power stage is about 105 amps, right? Smart power stages. Doesn't mean obviously that you'll be able to draw 105 amps from each, but it's just to let you know that it's over engineered and it should be good for anything that you might want to do with the motherboard, including extreme overclocking. That said, if you are going to do any sort of extreme overclocking here, just be mindful of the system itself, because it can get actually very hot with no airflow here. What I recorded was about 45 degrees motherboard temperature without any airflow, and that dropped all the way to 32 degrees with just a simple fan on top. What do you get in terms of connectivity that isn't USB? Well, obviously you get two M.2 sockets, one in the front, one at the back. They are both PCI Express 4.0. There is no option for PCI Express 5.0 M.2 socket connectivity, but I don't think that's an issue at all because there simply aren't any drives like that anyway. So with that said, what are the features that are stand out for me on this motherboard? Well, it's actually just how it's designed. I really like the layout of this motherboard outside of the singular SATA port that they have here. ASRock says they have 3, but you'll notice that the first or third, depending on how you count, is in a very awkward space. And in fact, I would say that, or argue, that this space is just not usable. Outside of that, what can I tell you about this motherboard? It's buttery smooth. I mean, even on the first BIOS, I think it was version 3.06 that I got, I had no issues. And then they improved it with version 4, and it was even better. right? Overclocking was slightly better, but that could be something that I'm just making up, or not making up but imagining, because I actually did get more familiar with the motherboard by the time that BIOS version came out. So I can't necessarily say it's better, but it seems to be a bit better, a little bit more stable. And in terms of performance, I mean, I maxed out the performance and matched every other motherboard that I've had before using this one. So in terms of how fast it is and so forth, there are no issues. It's just as fast as any other full-size ATX board I've come across. Aesthetically, what do I think of the board? Look, it's very similar to the 590 model. In fact, it's almost identical. I don't have the 590 in front of me right now, but I can tell you that it looks very familiar. So if you like that motherboard, you are likely going to like this one. What I did notice though is that I didn't seem to see any RGB lights on this board, whether underneath it or on the sides or anything like that. But you do get ARGB headers and so forth. So if you are that sort of person that's into RGB and whatnot, which is supposedly virtually everyone right now, then you should have no problems with this motherboard. Overall, do I think it's worth the $379? Definitely. I mean, the other motherboard that's equally good or close to this one, or it's 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports actually, costs, like I said, over $90 more the last time I checked. And I don't think that getting an additional Thunderbolt 4 port is worth $90. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of this motherboard. Would you spend this sort of money on a mini ITX board, particularly for Z690? Remember to share, like, subscribe if you feel like it, and I'll see you guys on the flip side. So take care and peace.